Hello all, my name is Brett Shimmack and I represent the Research and Legal Division of our nonprofit, Keeping Each of You Safe. I'd like to discuss with you three topics today that I think demonstrate quite well our investment to protect your investment in us and all of the steps that we've been taking through research and legal matters to ensure that our assets are protected and that we can run a nonprofit in a legal and effective manner. The first thing I'd like to discuss with you is this concept of risk management in a nonprofit. Now, risk management is generally something that's not thought of in terms of businesses, particularly when investments are being made. However, it's still a crucial thing to take into account for a lot of different reasons. One popular news source for nonprofits is Nonprofit Times, and Patrick Sullivan published an article in October of 2013 titled "Risk of Retaliation Lawsuits on the Rise," in which the discussion of risk management as it relates to nonprofits and litigation is analyzed. Now, Keeping Each of You Safe is a nonprofit that is obviously geared towards driving and is very similar to a couple other taxi agencies, and a lot of what we do is going to be very open to litigation from both the public and our own employees. So this idea of risk management within our own organization is incredibly important. In the article, Sullivan discusses the state of lawsuits, saying that retaliation and discrimination lawsuits against nonprofits are on the rise. The evidence behind this comes from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, where they found that in 2007 there were around 83,000 claims filed, and then in 2010, 2011, and 2012, each of those years saw over 100,000 cases filed. Now, they think that there's a couple reasons for this. One of them is that in times of economic downturn, people are more likely to seek litigation and suing their employer because they experience longer stretches between jobs, and the general public is kind of just now realizing that a lot of these nonprofits do have quite a bit of money to draw from, with some nonprofits posting up to $50 million in assets. So with litigation of nonprofits on the rise, how do you protect yourself? Well, it comes down to this risk management procedure. Jeff Collins is quoted in the article. He works for the Philadelphia Insurance Company, who says sometimes nonprofits are short on finances and maybe they might skip some risk management practices such as driver training, record checks, or maintenance procedures. Now, as an organization that focuses primarily on driving, those are obviously three very important things, and the lesson can definitely be learned and has been learned from our point of view that these are not steps that can be skipped by any means. The best defense for litigation comes with developing policies and procedures that are effective, that are strict, and that are well enforced. And if you can do those three things, then generally the company will be pretty safe. Now, the reason that we do this is mostly, well, an example of why we do this comes from Uber, which is obviously a very popular taxi company that operates primarily out of an app. Now, Uber is currently in a class action lawsuit, Douglas O'Connor versus Uber Technologies, which was brought forth in 2015 in the state of California. The class action lawsuit represents a large group of individuals that filed a similar complaint, and the basis of the claim is that Uber claims that their drivers are not true employees because they don't fit a certain time schedule, they don't require a minimum number of hours, and a couple other reasons. Now, the plaintiffs are complaining that Uber has stripped them of some rights as employees, Uber claiming that they're independent contractors, not true employees, and some of those things include tips that Uber advertises are included in the cost, and then also basic maintenance to the vehicles, because with Uber, the drivers drive their own vehicles. Again, with Keys being a primarily taxi-similar service, this is very relevant to us. And again, with the risk management, the analysis of this just shows that you have to have proper policies and procedures in place to ensure something like this doesn't happen within our own organization. And that would mostly come from the contract that the drivers signed, guaranteeing that they have a full understanding whether we choose to treat them as independent contractors or as full-time employees. And I think I've demonstrated pretty well that we have a good understanding of the legal side of operating a nonprofit, especially doing it in a manner that will protect your investments with us. Another thing that I'd like to discuss that I think demonstrates our innovation is this idea of teens and drunk driving. So the Center for Disease Control publishes that while the rate has dropped significantly of teens that drive drunk since 1991, young drivers are still 17 times more likely to die in a crash when they have a blood alcohol concentration of 0.8% than when they have not been drinking. They estimate that there are 2.3 million teens every week that either drive drunk or are in a vehicle with someone else who is driving drunk. Now, there's a story that comes out of Massachusetts where a young girl was punished for going to a party and picking up a friend who was drinking. From our perspective, keys could potentially play a huge role here in providing a service geared directly towards teens to help reduce that rate of drunk driving. And I think this demonstrates our commitment to operating a safe nonprofit and truly doing the best that we can to help out the public in any way possible. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.